What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Successfully Unsigned. Obviously, this is not the way we usually do our intros with just me, but the episode last week ran over a little bit, so I decided to split it into two. So we will be continuing our conversation about what makes a song subjectively good. So I hope you will like the video, subscribe, notification bell, all of the things. Go follow us on Instagram, and hope you enjoy this version.
I need to make that like a soundbite.
Honestly.
Chicken nugget necklace.
Honestly.
So next, I think that, we've talked about like the lyrics and we've talked about like the performance and the melody, which kind of includes like the hook as well, because most like the way the song starts usually is kind of like the way they want to take the hook in that direction. But I think getting a bridge that grabs attention is important too, because the bridge of a song breaks the continuity for a second and allows the listener to kind of tune their ears to like, it's an opportunity for you, if you've lost people in a performance, to get them back.
Yep.
That's how I've always viewed the bridge. Like it's an opportunity to get listeners back in, And so, I mean, do you guys kind of agree with that? Like have you ever been listening to a song, zoned out, and then heard a bridge and been like, oh, I'm back in this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
especially in live shows, I feel like. Because live shows, especially if you're going to like kind of smaller venues, you're going to have songwriters and you're not going to be into every song. You're just not.
Yep.
But I think, like you said, with the bridge, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here and just kind of not paying attention. And I'm like, oh, hey, there's something different going on. Let me pay attention now. Again.
Right. And then like that also gives you an opportunity to make that last hook or that outro really hit and really smack. So I think a bridge is really important.
And if you don't have a good bridge, then people might skip your song. For example, this is you're really getting an insight to what kind of person I am.
Right, I love it.
I grew up with Hannah Montana, and Hannah Montana I think has great music, except all of her bridges are terrible, and I always end up skipping.
Yeah.
That is a very specific example, but I feel like there are probably other artists out there who maybe need a little help with their bridge. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm into it, but now I'm going to skip it because I'm over it. And I lose interest.
Right. So, question. So, how long do you allow yourself to listen to a song before you can give yourself permission to change it?
Literally however long I want. Like, I was just talking about this because I think it was, we were on a trip with some friends, and the two in the back were like, man, he just like keeps skipping songs in the middle of it. Like, I never do that. If I start a song, I'm finishing it. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And I am a rule follower. Like I sometimes I do that with like TV shows where I'll be like, I can't start a new TV show until I finish this one. Yeah. And I'm like, why do I do that? Why do I set these rules for myself?
Right.
So I've tried to not do that just in things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I skipped partway through the song because I only wanted to hear the first little part of it, and then I'm kind of over it, or I just wanted to hear this one part and I'm going to skip it. And so if literally I just love like the intro and we're only 25 seconds in and I skip it, it's my car. Get over it.
Hey, that was my car that day.
That was your car, but still,
I'm just like,
I mean, it was my music. So, and you were asleep.
Oh yeah.
Well, mostly.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So by default, it's his car at that point.
Exactly. No, I get that. For me, like, I'll skip through like the beginnings of songs to find the song that fits the mood. But once I find like the song that I want to listen to, I'm typically one of those guys that listens all the way through.
Yeah,
because
I
like
don't
we were talking about
always
earlier,
skip every song.
Right. I very rarely skip once I'm into it. There are times I'm like, okay, I am tired of this song. Skip.
Same.
But typically speaking, if I actually like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this song, I'll listen all the way through, because to me, the outro is kind of like what we were talking about earlier, the payoff.
Yeah.
To me, that nice release at the end, and that's why it irks me so much when I listen to, or like when I'm somewhere and it's still fading out. Like the song's still fading out and someone's like, skip.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes I do that, but sometimes I don't.
It hurts me because I'm like, it's not over.
Right.
I haven't got you got that release at the end of the song. And I'm like, it's nice. You go back to normal for just that second. I'm like, I'm not ready to get back into the next song. I need that time to wind down if it's like been a really upbeat, like, let's go. It's a payoff to me.
Yeah. And sometimes I just skip to a very specific part I like, especially if it's just a Nicki Minaj verse. Then I just skip right to that and forget the rest.
Nicki has made an appearance in our podcast. Yep. I love it. For me, I guess it's like I always let myself listen to a verse, a chorus, and then a second verse. Mm-hmm. And if I don't like it by then, it's like it's not going anywhere.
Okay, so are you talking about if we are listening to a song for the first time?
Yes.
Oh, so I thought we were talking about
this changes the game. This changes the game.
No.
Sorry.
You're going through your Discover Weekly, right?
Okay.
And you're listening to songs for the first time. Spotify has recommended for you. Okay, how long are you listening?
Okay, so first off, most of the time it's not hard for me to, but like if I'm listening to new music, I'm gonna be like listening to the full album.
Sure.
So when I'm listening to a full album, unless I'm just like halfway through the album and I haven't really liked any of the songs, then I'm just not gonna bother at that point.
Okay.
But or like maybe I hear 2 songs that I've liked in the album, but if I get like halfway through a song, I'm like, I'm not bothering with this anymore, and I skip to the next song. But typically with an album, I will listen to the full thing, and then I will keep listening to it over and over again if I find songs that I like, and I'm like, I don't really remember liking that song too much, and I'll just skip it automatically. But if it is a song that just like happens to randomly come up and it catches my attention, I'm like, ooh, I really like this. And typically if that happens, I'm probably going to listen to the whole thing. In the circumstance of a new song, I'm going to give them the full chance completely, unless it's just so... I'm not really like an indie, like soft music kind of person. So if it's something like that, unless I just hear some lyrics that really like just stab me right in the heart, probably not going to listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all about the music vibe for me.
Yeah.
Because like Patrick and I have had this conversation before. When he listens to a song for the first time, lyrics is what stand out to him. To me, when I listen to a song for the first time, I listen to the instrumentation. I listen to the what's being played. I may not even have a clue what the lyrics are about till my third or fourth time listening to it, if it's a song that I like.
Right.
So for me, I can usually find out within the first first 20 or 30 seconds whether I'm like, yeah, okay. This just isn't for me. If the vibe of the music is not there for whatever it is that I'm feeling that day, skip. I won't stick around very long.
Gotcha.
If the verse is just like bleh, I'm probably not going to stick around for the chorus.
Yeah.
That being said, I'll take, choruses are typically bigger and better, so to speak.
Yeah.
They're usually a little bit more, I don't know how else to say that. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But even still, the verse still has to be good.
Yeah.
You still have to have a verse that's good enough to take you to the chorus.
Yeah.
And if that verse is just not there, or if the instrumentation in the intro is just like, this is just kind of, I'm probably going to skip.
Yeah, and I think, like, the utilization of, like, building throughout a song, whether that be the first verse, I like songs that the percussion is low, like when... It's either you start it all the way or you build up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe some brushes or something at first, and then that chorus, that first snare hit really stands out.
Sure.
So yeah, I think those are all really, really good points. I think for those listening, I think you should ask yourself, like, why do you want to change a song? What about a song gives you that urge to be like, okay, next? Or gives you the urge to keep listening and then apply that to your own work?
Also, a little side note, because this could be a whole episode on its own, but TikTok, I feel like it has changed the music industry so much to where if I hear like a little snippet of a popular TikTok sound that's also a song, I will go look up that song and listen to the whole thing. And I feel like 90% of the time, the whole song is not that great.
Yeah, it's just
but
that
because
one
of
part.
that one part, I'm going to listen to it.
Yeah.
And so
I've done that.
Get your song on TikTok if you haven't.
Yes. Actually, yes.
But one thing kind of that we've been talking about without talking about it this whole time, with talking about, whether, getting people to the chorus, or talking about bridges like you were earlier, or, whatever it is, that payoff at the end, getting to that one part that you really like. The structure of the song is so important when you come down to try to record your own stuff.
Yeah.
Beyond just writing, if you're, and it's a part of writing, but it's the extension of the writing, the arrangement. when you're sitting down and maybe you're first writing a song on piano or guitar or ukulele or whatever you're writing on, once you get the song written, you got the format, okay, this, right? Once you try to flesh that onto a bigger song, you have to be aware that your arrangement makes a huge impact on whether people will stay or not.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the song starts nice and soft, like in builds, or bam, right out the gate, you're hitting heavy.
Yeah.
How you arrange it makes such a big difference. And so you have to take into consideration the feel of the song. Are you wanting people to have a nice experience over a long period of time where you're building towards something?
Yeah.
Or is it a hyper song, like is it a pop piece that you're like, man, I gotta go?
Yeah.
Take into consideration your genre, your personal style. You got to take in consideration what the purpose of the song is. You do have to take in consideration absolutely the lyrics.
Yeah.
Because if the lyrics, yes, you'll have like really happy, upbeat songs that have the most saddest, most depressing lyrics ever. That does happen. And vice versa. You'll have really sad, slow, somber songs that are really happy lyrically.
Right.
But typically speaking, your lyrics and your melody are going to fit pretty well.
Right.
They're going to reflect the same attitude and the same characteristics. And so follow that. Sit down and consciously think, what would sound good? Does it need to be, do you need to slow your song down when you perform it, when you record it? Do you need to speed it up? Right. Tempo makes a big difference. And then build off of that. Take a look. Okay. It's a nice, slow, somber song. Maybe you wrote it on guitar, but maybe piano, but maybe not in the verse. Maybe save the piano for that chorus.
Yeah.
Maybe you save, maybe like, okay, on one of my songs I added in, it was MIDI, but it was still some bass, some big upright, bass with a nice bow and everything.
Sure.
And I saved that for a nice big drop, which for me in that song was actually the start of the second verse. It was after the chorus.
Ah, okay.
I wanted it to wait and then just really, it was a slower song, big build throughout the song as it goes on. And for me, that was when that needed to hit, was that the drop into the second verse, into that little instrumental. But whatever it is, find what fits for your song and listen. Your song is going to tell you what it needs.
Yeah.
If you really stop, pay attention, listen, ask a friend, like, hey, what would sound good on this? Maybe you don't need a full drum kit. And if you're recording by yourself, that can be really difficult to get a full drum kit.
Yeah.
Look at other ways you can do stuff. Look at cajones, look at shakers, look at tambourines, look at cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
Throw a microphone on a cardboard box and get a drumstick or get a mallet. You can do a lot. You
Yeah.
can do a lot with a bucket. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever going to see like, oh man, you recorded this one. You recorded with a bucket.
You used a plastic bucket.
It's from Lowe's.
From Lowe's. Should have got one from Home Depot.
I know, right?
Amateur.
Nobody's gonna care as long as it sounds cool.
Yeah.
Does it fit the vibe of the song?
Absolutely.
There's songs with like tiny toy pianos on it that fit.
Yeah.
There's songs I love that have recorders in them.
And by a fourth grader.
What was the bad
sound.
Titanic melody?
Yeah.
I love that song. But arrangement makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that kind of transitions well into like my final point on the structure of the song, which is like be mindful of your song length. Like, there are really good songs that are 6 minutes long. Beyonce songs that are 6 minutes long, but unfortunately, not all of us are Beyonce, and so
most people aren't going to listen that long.
Yeah, standard's 3.5.
Get
right?
a big fan base, and then you can do a 6 minute song.
It makes a difference whether the intent of the song when you're going into it.
Sure.
Are you recording a single like most people do nowadays? Most artists record a single. They record one song and they send out that one song. That's great. Right now, that's a really good format.
Yeah.
Right? But are you recording an EP?
Yeah.
Well, that's still really just a couple of singles.
If it's part of a body of work, it's a different way to approach.
But if you're doing an album, then you can have those album cuts that are a little bit longer.
Right.
And if people are listening through as an album, they're more likely to stick around.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, I'm in this for the long haul, right? They want to hear the whole thing.
Yeah, like Patrick, he listens to he just told us the albums is what you
exactly, which is a great format, and I want to see that really make a good return because it's fun. It's fun to sit down with an album for the first time.
It is.
But you got to be mindful of what you're recording. Yeah, that 3 to 3.5 minute mark is really good for singles.
Like you gotta ask what could be cut, like what can afford to go, even if you really really love it,
Or if you do have a longer song but you're performing live, sometimes like you just need to find a way to cut it because if I'm watching a 6 minute 6 minute song by some like indie artist, like I said, I'm not really into indie, but even so, I don't want to sit there for 6 minutes and listen to you play the same song.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Of course. And this will kind of bleed into kind of what the next segment we're going to talk about, just like the production value and that kind of thing. But whenever you're producing your song, I think it's a good idea to have several different mixes, right? Like have like a, just an instrumental mix, have like one that's shorter, that's cut, have the longer version, like just in case maybe you might pick up a sync deal or something, put it in a movie or something like that. So make sure to like have a lot of different mixes for your song. So I guess we can kind of with that roll over, like we've talked about like what the structure of a song, of like the actual song should look like, but I think we should kind of touch on some of the production value stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you mentioned, printing different mixes, making different mixes is a really big thing. If you send it off to someone who is a mixer, they're going to send you back 4 or 5 different mixes. Yeah. And by different mixes, I don't mean like, oh, it sounds dramatically different. I'm talking about, like you mentioned, you have an instrumental mix. That's a mix. There's no vocals. You have the vocal. You have your full mix. You have your instrumental. You have sometimes it's not a bad idea to do a vocal up mix where everything's the same except you bring the vocal up just a little bit louder, because it's amazing what that little bump can actually do, especially if you're doing a popular genre of music. Yeah, people want that vocal on top, and sometimes especially if you're the one that recorded it, you're the writer and you're the everything, sometimes it's a little hard to step back and get perspective of what the song needs at the end in the mix stage. Sure. You can like overestimate things. Like I come at it from like a guitar point of view. That's kind of where I started stuff, and man, I want to hear those guitars. Yeah. And so that's how I end up mixing. I mix guitar heavy. Like my guitars are almost always too loud. So I have to keep that in mind. I got to bring those guitars down or bring the vocal up. Right. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is actually where it probably should be, because nobody else cares if my guitars are really loud. Like that's a reality I gotta learn.
Hey, there might be some people. There might be some. There's I'm one that is a sucker for guitar.
Sure. I mean, you got the guitarists out there that way. But the vast majority of people that are listening are probably not going to be listening for like, oh wow, that's a cool guitar tone. Right. People aren't listening for that. So doing simple things like that. Now, that being said, you can do other mixes that are dramatically different too. Get in there and experiment, especially if it's your own music, right? And you're producing, you're recording, you're writing, you're editing, you're doing the whole process. Try out stuff. Seriously, try out stuff. Even if you recorded all of your tracks and I got all this stuff here. Yeah, great, we're good to go. We're gonna sit down and actually mix this thing. You can still experiment. You can still add stuff. And the best friend that you'll ever have is the mute button. Yeah. Honestly. Even though you might record 30 tracks, maybe you only need 15 of those. Even if you really like some of those parts, build up. And then once you think you have everything you need, start taking things away. Yeah. It's one of the hardest things to do, but if you do it right, you got to leave space in the mix. You got to leave space in the song for people to breathe. Right. And that goes back to the bridges again, and in structure. That bridge does usually one of two things. It either builds tension or it releases tension. You have this nice smooth releases, and that change of tension to release is what gets people to come back. But tension to release, I mean, that's a big thing, and you gotta make people want to stick around, and that's a really, really good way a lot of songs do it. Go listen to your favorite song. You're gonna find that there's stuff. It builds, and then and then you finally have that chance to calm down. Yeah, you have that chance to sit back and like, okay, now it's smooth. The chorus maybe, sometimes you have those choruses that are just really smooth and easy singing, and then the verse is like almost agitated. Yeah, you have that aggression in one part, and then the other is completely opposite. Bridges do that. Bridges do one of those two things, but you can do that with your instrumentation too. Yeah, and that's one of the big parts of mixing is like, hey, maybe I don't really need this one thing in this one part of the song. Maybe I don't need guitars over there going chugga chugga on, maybe it just needs a nice smooth, I don't know. Maybe it needs that upright bass. Maybe it needs a piano. Maybe it needs some background vocals. But don't be afraid to mute things. Yeah.
I wish you had a mute button.
Me too.
Yeah, he does. I just haven't hit it yet.
Might be a time.
Yeah. No, that time has passed. It's well past. No, but you had mentioned something about, just like try it out. Like do things during the production. Like it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So it's like if you have all those tracks and you're not feeling something. Maybe you recorded something earlier on that you don't like in one section of the song. Maybe you just need to move it to the outro.
Yeah.
Or like move it to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like you could, if you have those, like there's more to play with. Whether it's better to have that feeling than to have the whole thing done and be like, man, I wish I would have added that.
And just because an instrument plays in one part of the song doesn't mean it has to play in the rest.
Yeah.
You know, there's some great songs out there that start with a piano. The intro's a piano. Maybe the whole first verse is a piano.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time that chorus comes around, you never hear from that piano again.
Yeah.
It served its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they tracked it originally.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. And none of us will ever know,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But even if they did track it, it's muted. It's cut.
Mm-hmm.
It's not needed anymore. You have to put on that kind of the director role. Like if you're filming a movie, hey, we don't need this anymore. It's cool. It's nice, but it doesn't serve the song. It doesn't serve the purpose of getting the song pushed forward anymore and getting people to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So cut it.
I think people thinking more about their songs as emotions than as art pieces. Like it is an art piece, but it's also an emotion that you want to convey, right? So that's why a lot of songs you'll hear, you won't notice it, but there's like a little pad that they'll stick on top of a verse, or they'll stick on top of that last chorus, and it's a little bit buried, but it's still there. And I don't know about you guys, but like anytime there's a pad in a song, it provokes a certain emotion.
Yeah.
And so like whether it's like an angelic sound or kind of a eerie sound, it's the reason pads exist is it's meant to provoke an emotion. Like, you know, sound effects in movies, like we've talked about this last episode, movies aren't what they are without music. Movies aren't what they are without sound effects, right? And so it's the same thing with your song. Like, don't be afraid to, even if that's not your genre, if you're not, I don't want synths, I want it to be very stripped, and like try it out. Like try throwing a pad on it and seeing how it sounds, and seeing like maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but at least you've tried, you know?
Yeah.
Just throw it on there and see.
I mean, there's a song recently that I came to love called Stronger Now in Broken Places, I think is what it's called. It's by Joe Bonamassa, really famous guitarist, and like he normally does like blues rock heavy, you know, like really cool kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And this song is super stripped down. It's guitar and vocal.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I thought. I listened to this song like a dozen times before I realized, wait a second, there's an obvious pad just hanging out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I not hear that? It's so obvious. Like you can just audibly hear it.
Right.
But it was so fitting that I only heard the guitar and the vocal, but that song isn't the same without that pad.
Yeah.
You know, it just gives that kind of sense of like, it is a kind of a tense, almost off key at times, but it fits with the tone of the song. It gets the idea across that, like, hey, you know, we're sad here.
Can you explain a little more what a pad is? Because
yeah, sorry about that. So people are like, what a pad? Like never mind. So,
yeah,
so,
I mean, yeah, that's where I was
so
going.
a pad is like a synth. Like it's like it's just, how would you describe it?
It's a synth. It's usually a set of chords.
Yeah.
You usually do it in chords. It's like a washing effect, depending.
Okay.
It's
like,
more of a sound.
It's soundscape.
Yeah,
It is
soundscape.
it's soundscape. It's not necessarily like you're not playing a melody.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I really thought you muted me there because like I didn't hear myself for a second, even though I know your hand didn't go.
Nothing came out.
Yeah.
Soundscape.
Yeah, it's a soundscape.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, sorry, I should have explained that better. Thank you. That's why we have Patrick here to kind of be
Thanks,
like,
Patrick.
hey, nerds, can I interrupt for a second? What is a pad? Cool.
But
cool.
if you're recording on anything, whether it is Pro Tools or whether it's Ableton, whether it's FL Studios or whatever, most of your DAWs are going to have some kind of access to basic pads, basic synth stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it's not fancy and, you know, you doesn't have to be the whole Arturia collection, or you don't have to go buy a whatever, you know, an Oberheim, you know, you're going to have some basic access, and that basic stuff can do a lot for probably free.
Yeah. Well, cool. So I think we've hit on, you know, just song structure. We've hit on some of the production tips, which we'll dive more into detail about some of the production stuff on your song at a later date, but just kind of a quick overview there. The last thing I wanted to touch on is once you've got your song recorded, once you've got it in a place where you're happy with the production value of it, it's time to start generating buzz, and to start before you release it, start, you know, trying to market your release, which we'll dive into that a little bit, actually a lot more next episode, but just kind of giving us an intro into that?
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think about like artists either that I've followed or something that gets me excited about a new album or single or something. And obviously, I mean, social media is going to be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my first thought was I'm a very visual person.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you have like some sort of cool photo shoot or album cover, that's going to sell me. Like there have been times where I'm like, this picture is so cool. I don't even know what this music is going to sound like, but I'm going to listen to it because I think it's cool.
Right.
Especially when I was a DJ for the radio station, we had to, since we're an alternative radio station, we had to always have at least 3 new songs every hour. And so I would always have to go and find new songs. And so what I would do, part of it was I would kind of look through the pictures and I would figure out, okay, does this picture look like the vibe I'm going for? Or, oh, this is a really interesting, cool picture. I'm going to listen to this. Or album cover. I keep saying picture. But even on social media, like if you have like some sort of cool photo shoot, being like, listen to my album August 27th.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's going to draw attention. Yeah. Because people like looking at nice things.
Yeah. I mean, that first post.
Yes.
You know, like
yes.
what in your opinion would that first post to kind of get the word out there initially? You're saying like a photo shoot would probably be
either something mysterious that starts making people like, what is this? Or something flashy.
What is this?
So
what are those?
What is this?
So I'm sorry, like if you just post a picture of yourself in like some field, no offense, I'm not gonna listen to it.
Oh.
I love it.
Like
I love it.
Whoops.
That doesn't make me Oh. Okay.
Well, mine was in a barn, but
yeah. I just mean like I don't know. You see a lot of especially I feel like in the like Christian music genre, you see a lot of like and it's like a field is behind them and it's like listen to my new single, you know.
Yeah.
I Love God, which is great. But I just mean like
That's the album title.
Is that like a Barney song cover?
Maybe. I love you. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's just like to me, I'm just like you're not bringing anything interesting into it, and that doesn't just go for Christian music. That's a big example that I can think of where a lot of the album covers look the same, and that's typically they're smaller artists as well, and so that has something to do with it. Obviously, as a small artist, you're not going to have access probably to like some super fancy photo shoot, but also find a friend who knows how to like use a camera. And who has good ideas and finding cool props or lighting. I mean, it's really like you can go to Five Below and get some cool lights. Or I literally once saw someone take their laptop, search up the color pink on Google Images and just like blow it up and like put it in front of their face, and they took great pictures. Yeah. And so it's there's so much easy access to things like that to where it's gonna like make someone like stop on your Instagram post and go, oh, that's a cool picture. I'm going to like that. Oh, let me read the caption. Oh, this person is releasing a new song. How cool. Yeah. I'm going to listen to this. And so, I don't know. Or even just on the Explore page. And so, anything like that, that is the first thing that came to my mind as far as generating buzz. Or, like I said, you can go the mysterious route. So, Dale, you had... can you guess what the title of this song is? And
the meme campaign.
Or you can go with the meme campaign, which kind of comes after. But I guess the first initial post.
The initial,
of you had these like 3 photos that are like separate, or like some artists, which this is really dramatic, but some artists will like delete their entire feed and then just like post a black picture and be like August 29th. I don't know why I keep going to August, but
getting hype.
For that, you probably need a little more of a fan base. But even then, like I have seen smaller artists do it to where they post these like really like it's like the corner of a picture, or it is like just a black picture. And it does kind of make you stop and be like, oh, what's this about?
Yeah. You got to be creative. And that kind of goes, hand in hand with what you're talking about. There's so much access to make so much, whether it be on your phone or your personal computer or, whatever. You can do a ton and a ton of stuff for like no money. I mean, that's why like the whole lo-fi genre has taken off the way it has. Is because you had all these artists with great ideas doing cool stuff, but they didn't have access to fancy equipment. So why? Just lean into it. Lean into where you're at. And the thing is, if you're just starting off, you have nothing to lose. Try stuff out. Yeah, absolutely. Experiment. Even if nobody likes it, even if it ends up being a terrible idea and you're like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Who cares? All of the 20 people plus your mom have seen it. You know?
You're going to get out what you put in. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you're putting in effort, people will notice effort. Right. People will definitely notice effort. Like, you mentioned the meme campaign. I had no idea if that was going to work or not. I'm thankful that I had some good responses, at least from friends that I know. They were like, yeah, I like that, but take a chance. Will it work? Don't know. Will it not work? Don't know. Yeah. Try it. Yeah. What do you have to lose?
And also consistency, which I mean is just like key to everything in life, I guess. Yeah. But like if you're posting every 2 weeks, I'm not gonna care. Like I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay, this person posted whatever. But especially, I mean, if you have a new song coming out, if you're not posting every day, I don't know what you're doing. Right. You need to get your life together. Right. So like it's true. Like consistency is key. It is. Don't spam people, but like if you are posting about it every day, people are gonna see whether they're liking the photos or not. It's going into their brain.
Yeah, subconsciously they're like thinking
messaging.
About it. Yeah, subliminal messaging.
Exactly. Josie and the Pussycats. Always take it back. No, but seriously, just consistency is key, of course, and just I don't know, I guess finding what audience you like and sharing it and like not being afraid to put yourself out there and like you said, just try new things. Yeah. And are you okay with us talking about what you were talking about before the show? Okay, so Dale is a good example.
Oh, that, yeah. I mean, that's okay. Fine too. I didn't know where you're going with that. Before.
Yeah. A good example is he just like kind of sent, I don't know, can you explain it more? Because I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, and so I'm sure we'll probably get into it more in maybe some later episodes, outlets to get your music out there. But one of the things that with my most recent release that I did was something that David had pitched to me, I don't know, months ago, was a website called Submit Hub. A lot of people, I think, use that now. You can go and take your song as an individual, and you can pitch your songs directly to Spotify playlist curators, to blog, people who make blog posts, to people who run radio stations,
labels,
directly to labels. You can pitch it to, Instagram or TikTok, not curators, content creators, stuff like that. You can pitch it directly to those people and say, hey, and you can write a little message. You can send them the song, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I had some pretty nice responses so far from some of my stuff. I got onto a couple playlists, and then I had a blog post which ended up generating other traffic that I didn't expect from, I think from a label as well as a management company, both of them wanting to do some work with me that way. And that all came from just literally, the effort of, spending, it was a couple dollars that I sent out to, like a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there to get people to even look at what I've made. But like, hey, for
it's an investment.
$1 for somebody to look at and listen to my song and tell me whether they like it or not. And if they like it, do something. That's totally worth it. Yep. You know,
you can send it to a label for $10.
Exactly.
And it's like, why not? Right.
Yeah. Give it a shot, you know? And then you never know who else will also notice. Like both of these people, both of the groups that contacted me, I didn't contact them directly. That came off of other things. One somehow through my Instagram and one of my older songs. They somehow, I don't know where that all fell in line, but somewhere. And then the other one through one of the blog posts, or I say one. I've had one blog post about this song, and it was through that. I mean, you never know who else, like you said, is gonna see and notice. Yeah. Even if they don't like your post, even if they don't share your post, they might see it on Explore page. Maybe they follow you and just happen to see it in their feed. What you do matters, and the effort you put into it matters too. Yeah. Like, if you're not active on your social media, like at all, or you have no presence on the internet whatsoever, right? I mean, the internet is not the end all be all of anything, but it's a huge tool that people look at whether they want to invest in you or not. And it gets your music out from the immediate physical proximity to you too. Yeah, you can get it to people all the way across the world.
And this goes right back to the TikTok thing. Like, get your music on TikTok. Make clips of you listening to it, of you doing something flashy or something that's going to get people noticeable. Get the most interesting part of your song onto TikTok because it will make people go listen.
Yeah.
Like there's this girl who literally posted like day 1 of me trying to make my song go viral, and by day 2 it was already viral.
Right.
And so like but she just put this one really good part and people really respond well to it. She literally just stood there in her dorm room.
Yeah.
Or wherever it was, and just like I don't know, just that is definitely going to be your best friend, even though TikTok is also a terrible place. It is going to be your best friend as far as artists go.
Right.
And then, of course, any other social media platform. I mean, just use all your resources. It's so easy nowadays in a way to just have access to everything. So use it.
You know, and when you do use it, you have to remember kind of the same idea of what we were talking about earlier of, you know, be personal with it.
Yeah.
You know, don't just be cold and say, oh, release, go listen, bye. You know, be personal with it. Make connections, make people want to listen to it. You know, you have to be able to give to receive. It's like that old analogy you've probably heard. You know, I learned it in personal finance. You know, if your fist is closed, you're not going to get any money going in.
Yeah.
No money's going out, but you're not going to get any money going in either. Open your hand, stuff's going to leave, but you're also going to get new stuff. Same idea here. You know, whether you're on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or wherever, to be able to generate traffic, you also got to give a little traffic too.
Yeah.
Go to other people's posts, like their posts, comment on their posts, send them DMs. It doesn't have to be directly about like, hey, I got a new song coming out. People will see straight through that if that's all you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
People will see straight through that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't go tell your friends, hey, DM, hey, go listen to my song, you know, or can you listen, you know, asking is better anyway. Don't just like go listen to my song.
Right.
You know, that's not going to work. Ask people, but even still, just be genuine about what you're doing and just like, hey, I think that's really cool. You know, even if it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Just, you know, giving a little bit can also, you know, it'll help you receive a little bit too if you're trying to get traffic.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I know we've thrown a lot at you guys. But
this
I think
episode was a little longer than last week's.
you're gonna need a notepad for all these tips we've been giving you. But nevertheless, I think we've laid it out pretty well as far as, you know, how to what makes a good song, what makes it catchy, like how to improve the production value, and how to get buzz started. Next episode, we are going to be talking about marketing. Just basically going to dive into the whole marketing plan from start to finish. From
Good luck.
Yeah, up to the release. And so just some things to think about there. But
go make a new song and make it a hit.
Make it a hit.
Yeah, there's your homework. Go make a new song. Make a hit.
Yeah, make it a
Bring
hit.
it to us next week.
And then give us credit.
Or whatever.
And Submit Hub, if you want to sponsor us, that'd be awesome too.
Oh, yeah. Just hit us up. My line's open.
Right. Just get
And
contact
Nickelodeon,
Dale.
if you want to sponsor us for SpongeBob.
Oh my gosh, I gotta let it go.
Wendy's, maybe?
Yeah.
No.
No. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.